Here is a claim that will make some of you angry. The number in your account changes you faster than your childhood did. Not your values. Not your name. The number. It decides how long you hold eye contact. It decides whether you apologize before you have done anything wrong. Watch the years and see. Let's start at $340. That is what sits in your account on a Tuesday in early spring, and you know it the way you know your own heartbeat without checking. You have already checked. 6 times since breakfast. The app is the first thing you open and the last thing you close, and each time the number blinks onto the screen, your chest tightens the same half second, waiting for it to be smaller than you remember. Once it was. A subscription you forgot renewed itself and took $9 you needed for gas, and you sat in the parking lot of the gas station and did the math 4 times before you believed it. Your co-worker, Danny, does not check his app at all. Danny says checking it won't change what's in it, so why look? Danny is behind on 2 things and does not know which 2, and he laughs about it, and you envy the laugh even as you know exactly where it leads. Rule number 1, the people who check obsessively and the people who never check are often standing in the same hole. One is just wearing a blindfold. Something shifts. Not in the number, in the checking. $2,900 now lives in the account, and the refreshing has slowed to twice a day, morning and night, like taking a temperature instead of holding a hand to a fevered forehead every 10 minutes. You still flinch at notifications, but the flinch has a new shape. It used to ask, am I in trouble? Now it asks, how much room do I have? You start rounding down instead of up. If the number reads 2,900, you tell yourself it is 2,800 because a cushion invented in your own head is still a cushion. Danny would call this paranoid. You call it math with a margin. Something shifts again. Not in the panic, in the pattern. $15,000 sits behind a login screen you now check on a schedule, Sunday nights, coffee in hand, calm the way a pilot is calm doing a checklist before a flight that will almost certainly be uneventful. The notifications stop being threats. Half of them are interest payments now, small, quiet, arriving like a friend who shows up even when you didn't call. Your cousin Marcus finds this out and can't sit still about it. Marcus wants to know your secret, then argues with the secret the moment you say it, then does the opposite anyway, and buys a boat he cannot afford with money that was supposed to be an emergency fund. Marcus checks his balance the way he used to, with his stomach in his throat, except now his stomach has good reason. Rule number 2. An emergency fund is not a number. It's the difference between an emergency and an inconvenience. Something shifts. Not in the amount, in what you feel when it moves. $60,000, and the checking becomes almost administrative. You open the app because you are supposed to, a Tuesday morning coffee habit, not because you're afraid of what you'll find. A late fee from years ago has become a story you tell at parties instead of a wound you're still bleeding from. If you have made it this far in the story, you might notice something happening to you personally, not just to the person on the screen. You are checking your own accounts against the levels as we go, and you'll want to know exactly where you land by the end, which is exactly why it's worth staying subscribed to this channel, because the levels from here get a great deal stranger, and most people stop being honest with themselves right around the next one. $250,000, spread now across accounts that don't even feel like money anymore in the way $340 once did. Some of it sits in things with names like index funds, numbers that go up and down without asking your permission, and you have learned, slowly, painfully, not to check those particular numbers every day, because watching water boil doesn't make it boil faster. Your neighbor Priya still panics over every red arrow on her portfolio app, calling you at 10 at night because the market dipped 2% and she is convinced the sky is falling. You used to be her. You remember being her. You don't say that out loud, because some rules you only get to learn by living them. Rule number 3. The market doesn't care how you feel about it, and neither does compound interest. Both simply continue. Something shifts. Not in the fear, in the timeline. $700,000, and for the first time the notifications stop being about survival entirely. They are receipts. Confirmations. A statement arrives, and you glance at the total the way you'd glance at the weather before deciding on a jacket. Useful, not urgent. Danny, the one who never check his balance, remember, corners you at a wedding, 3 drinks in, and says something you don't expect. You got lucky, Danny says. I could have done what you did. You don't answer with a number, because numbers would sound like bragging. You answer with a question instead. Would you have checked the account on the bad weeks? Even when it hurt. Danny doesn't answer that one. Some people already know the answer and don't want to hear themselves say it. Rule number 4. Luck doesn't check its bank app every Sunday for a decade. Discipline does. Something shifts. Not in your bank balance, in your relationship to being watched. $1,200,000. And here is the strange part nobody warns you about. The checking becomes almost sentimental. You open the app sometimes just to remember where you started, scrolling back through years of history, like an old photo album. $340, sitting at the very bottom of the scroll, like a photograph of a person you used to be, and still quietly respect. The fear is gone. Not replaced by arrogance, replaced by something calmer. Competence, maybe. The particular ease of someone who has done a hard thing enough times that their hands no longer shake doing it. Rule number 5. The goal was never to stop feeling small. It was to stop needing the number to feel big. Something shifts one final time. Not in the total, in the silence. $3,400,000, and the phone buzzes tonight 3 times, then 5, and you are stacking wood by the fire, and you do not look. Not because you've gone numb. Not because the money stopped mattering. You do not look because you already know the shape of your life without checking, the way you know your own front door in the dark. The number is simply true now, whether or not you glance at a screen to confirm it, and there is a specific, quiet kind of peace in that, not detachment, not loneliness, just enough certainty that you finally get to spend an evening thinking about something other than money. Tomorrow you'll open the app anyway, out of habit more than need, and you'll smile a little at whatever it says, because at this level the number was never really the point. The point was always what stopped happening in your chest every time it buzzed. That's rule number 6, and it's the only one worth remembering. The richest version of you isn't the one with the biggest number. It's the one who finally stopped needing to check.